You post video after video and you get no traction until you post that one piece that's really not relatable at all to your creator brand, and it works. So how do you know when it's time to take another look at your strategy? Does that successful piece of content mean that you need to quit and completely start over? This is something that you're very likely going to experience. So let's just talk about it. Let's spend the episode today and break it down. Andrew Perrin, Andrew Wall, surely you guys have never had this happen, right?
No, I've never had a plan and done something and then it didn't work out. And then suddenly something else started blowing up and I was like, why? Why that? My plan was to do this original thing. And you guys can relate, right? You get stuck on that idea. You get stuck on that dream of that one thing you're going to do. And that's going to be what really helps you take off. That's what you're going to do to make it. That's going to be the dream come true. Every video you record, every stream you make, everything you do with that project, you can just see that. You even daydream about those situations where you're successful and you have the adoration of the internet and everything's going well. And it's really tough to let go when that doesn't work out. It's really, really hard because you've built this emotional attachment and this fantasy in your mind that a particular type of content or live streaming on Twitch or whatever it may be was going to work out. Well, today we're going to help you figure out how to let it go and how to start over again with something that's actually working for you so that you can accomplish your goals, you can grow, and you can kind of listen to what people actually want from you and what's actually going to work. Perrin, can you relate at all? Or has everything you've ever tried gone 100% exactly the way you want it?
Every piece of content I've ever made has been a winning viral success on the internet. No, actually, most of it's been failure. So I've been in this situation so many times where I want to do something very specifically. For an example, make a great fan site for Star Wars: The Old Republic. Then I'll try it again for an MMO called WildStar, and I make a fan site for that too. And then, the game's going to be great and it's going to do great. And so my fan site's going to work out. I can build community off of that. And no, that didn't work out at all. So how to let those things go. In my experience, those have always led me to the next better thing, I guess. So it's been more of a natural transition. I never really got to this point where I'm like, okay, this has ultimately failed. I need to let it go and I need to move on. I've never really kind of gotten to that point. It's always been quite clearly that's not working. I'm not even focusing on it anymore because something else is right in front of me that is working that I've caught on to. Maybe I've been led there by the thing that I was working on that failed, but now I'm attached to that and I'm focused on that thing and I just let the other thing fall off. So in terms of having like this moment where I had to make that decision, I guess my failures have led me to like never having to make it because it's so clearly not working out that it's just easy to dump, I guess, at that point, because it's just everything says it's not working anymore.
That's interesting. So some things can it's easier for you to kind of let something go. Obviously it's not easy, but it's easier to just let something go when something else is kind of popping up and looking like a better opportunity. But I know for a lot of people, a block that can happen is this sort of completionist sort of attitude. And the way that a lot of us are raised by our parents is that when you start something, you finish it. And that's sort of like this American, especially American, and also in Chinese culture, that's a major virtue. When you start the season playing soccer, you finish the season. When you start college, you finish college. When you start the job, you finish the job. But when it comes to doing something that you love, that you're electing to do yourself, you don't have to do that. It's up to you. You can choose to stop whenever you want and go do anything whenever you want. And so today, I'd like to give you permission, audience, if you're doing something that's not getting traction, if you're doing something that's not giving you the results that you want, moving you in the right direction, fulfilling you emotionally, fulfilling you financially, whatever it is that those dreams are that you have for your content or for your side hustle, for your online business, you have my permission to stop and to go focus on something that is going to help you and contribute to your life. Because guess what? Life is incredibly short. And you've only got a handful of years to do any of these things. And this golden age of the internet, where there's this mega land grab right now, where people can just try out new ideas and hustles and just have them magically work out, this isn't going to last forever. You know that. We're going to move into something else in the future. So the faster that you can fail and just leave that behind and leave behind the emotional attachments and then move to something that is getting traction, the faster you're going to succeed overall and you're going to move things forward. Ross, can you relate? I know you have a lot of different Twitter accounts out there.
You're going to say, I know you have a lot of different failures.
I know you are an expert on failure, like out of all of us.
No, and you know what? I actually don't even, when we're talking about this, there are two ways to approach it when we're talking about the word failure. The first being that obviously in such cases, failure is not necessarily a bad word. So take the negative connotation away from it. Secondly, is it really considered failure if you don't actually stop? I think changing track and failure are two different ways to look at it. But yeah, this is literally happening to me right now with the GHN podcast. I had some great guests on, and then all of a sudden I had another one on who was a good friend of mine, and it blew up. So now I'm having to completely relook and restructure the way that I'm doing the podcast. So this episode's actually incredibly helpful for me, just because I was kind of bound and determined I was just going to keep doing the same thing. But it's when something better comes along, when you get into this, any time in life, any profession that you go into, any hobby that you have, if you keep looking straight ahead and you see the finish line, then you're doing it wrong, because you're never going to see the finish line. Things never go to plan. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't think anybody's ever taking on a project and it just worked out just the way it was supposed to. Everything was A-okay. That's just not the world we live in. So, part when you go into this, and I think most creators actually probably already have this mindset a little bit, is adapt and adjust. And I think this is more about adapting and adjusting rather than actual failure. I consider failure, I define failure as when you completely stop doing something and just give it up. That to me is failure. Am I off on that?
No, I'll give that to you. Like, I guess the thing that I really take away from that is looking at the finish line. It's true. The finish line's never there. Like, look at PewDiePie. He's talked about this many times in his videos, where he talks about these, view milestones and subscriber milestones that he's hit. And if you guys aren't familiar with PewDiePie, I know almost all of you are, but for those of you that aren't, he's got over 100 million YouTube subscribers right now. He's the second most subscribed channel on YouTube. And he's talked about how, you hit certain numbers, you feel great. And then the traction starts to slow down. You don't feel as good. And it's a sort of emotional roller coaster where if you care about the numbers, if you care about that finish line, which is generally a number or a milestone that you're hitting, then you're never going to be happy. Because as soon as you actually cross that finish line, you'll get a quick high, and then you'll be like, well, damn, what do I do now? So that's not happiness. Accomplishing your goal isn't actually happiness. So what you need to be doing if you want to really be successful with online hustle, online businesses, is you need to take a hard look at yourself, be introspective, and determine, is what you truly love that goal at the end of the line, or is it the process of making content every single day? If making content is what is making you happy, if doing the thing that you're actually doing is what's actually making you happy, the process of doing it, the operations of doing it, if you are compelled to do it, if you can't be happy without doing the process of making content or whatever it is, then you're in good shape. Then you can actually become successful. Then you can freely quit one version of that, go start over and do another anytime you want. But if you don't actually like the process, then that's when you need to completely shift gears and move on to something entirely new. It's really important. For example, I've noticed this about myself over the last 10 years. Like the last handful of days, I've been waking up at 3 a.m. to live stream. It's the only time I have. I got 2 kids at home. I got a full-time job. I've got clients. I just don't have time to live stream in any reasonable hour during the day. So I've been waking up at 3 a.m. to do it. how am I compelled to do that? But if it was something else, right? Like mowing the lawn or, I don't know, trading on the stock market or something else I don't care about, I wouldn't be able to wake up at 3 a.m. and live stream for 4 hours. So why is it that I'm able to do that? It's because I've discovered about myself, I can't be happy without creating content. So if you're in that position, then you're unstoppable. And the process for you is more about finding what the winners and the stinkers are, eliminating stinkers with your content strategy and doubling down on the winners. And the whole time, you're going to be happy because you're doing the thing that you love. You get it? Perrin, do you feel me? Dude, you're live streaming every single day right now. Plus you have a full-time job. Plus you have a family. How are you compelled, even on a day like today where you're freaking exhausted, to even wake up and do this podcast? I know you have insomnia, right? How are you compelled to do this today? Is it because you like podcasting? Is it because the multi-million-dollar contracts we're scoring on this podcast? How are you staying motivated to do it?
I just like talking about this stuff, I guess. I like being on the show. I really don't care about the numbers of the show, to be honest. I just like talking about these topics. And I like the feeling of being able to help other creators succeed and being in that line of work. I like that line of work. I got a dilemma for you guys both, because you're talking about, kind of doing what makes you happy, and that's what's important. But we're also talking about understanding when to quit and to start over. So here's the dilemma. What if you're a gamer and you're covering Fortnite and you're streaming it and you're just 0 concurrent viewers, just 0, 0, 0, 0. You love to do it because you love Fortnite. All right. And I think that's a really common situation for a lot of gaming creators out there, especially streamers. And maybe you've even been doing this for a year and you love it. You can still get up every day excited to do this, even though there's nobody watching you and you love to play Fortnite. But you kind of know in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, maybe I need to switch it up to something different to actually be successful. But if I do that, the only thing I really like to do is play Fortnite. So then I'm not doing what I love anymore. How do you solve that dilemma?
What do you think, Ross?
Happiness is more important than success for me. I mean, it's a lot of ways they come hand in hand, but if you're happy doing Fortnite and you're enjoying it, who cares if you have 0 followers or if you have 100 followers? Life, it's kind of what Abel said earlier. Life is way too short to sit around and pander to success, pander to your happiness, if nothing comes of it, so be it. We're not, if you're doing this to get famous, if you're doing this to get attention.
Oops. Oh my God. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I was saying if you're doing this to get attention, if you're doing this to get happy or to not get happy, if you're doing this, let's just say just to get attention, you want to be famous, you want to be a popular YouTuber, that's great and all. It's good to have goals, but if you're unhappy doing that process, then don't do it. I put happiness above everything. Life is way too short. I mean, just look around at what's going on in the world today. Do you really want your last thought on this earth to be, oh, I wasn't, I never made it as I was never famous YouTuber? Or do you want to be, wow, I had a lot of fun. I was very happy playing Fortnite. I don't even care that people didn't watch. I was happy. So, at some point you have to put happiness above success, but at the same time, they are intertwined. So I think that's kind of where the struggle is. You're more likely to be happy if you are successful. So if somebody came to me with that problem, I think, I think I would tell them, be like, if you can find that same happiness or that level of happiness with a new game, one that you may be more likely to gain concurrent viewers with, then try making the switch. But if no other game, if Fortnite is the game that makes you the happiest, stick with it. Just stick with it.
That's why I have the 80-20 rule. It's a solution to this problem. Where 80% of your content that you create can be the main thing that you want to do, if it's happiness, or it could be the main thing that's getting you the most views, or it can be the main thing that's making you the most money. There's only 3 things you can get out of creating content: emotional fulfillment, financial fulfillment, and then growth in numbers, audience growth. Those are the only 3 things. but you probably can't get all three at the same time. So whenever you choose one to be your number one priority, one of the other ones is going to fall off. Maybe two of the other ones are going to fall off. And so if you choose emotional fulfillment, your financial and your growth numbers might fall off. And that often happens. So do that. And so then in this situation, I tell that person, go ahead, spend 80% of your content creation time making Fortnite content. But I would highly encourage you to spend 20% of your time experimenting with other games. Experiment with Apex Legends. Go check out Crucible. Go check out Valorant. Go check out any of these other games that are coming out in the future and see if you really like them. And always be experimenting with a significant portion of your time, 20%. And that'll open you up to new opportunities in the future where you're spending most of your time doing what you love. You're mixing it up from time to time, trying out new stuff, and it might actually make you even more happy. And eventually you will discover something that will be more successful for you from a financial perspective or from an audience growth perspective. And then you can make the decision. It's about balancing those three things: emotional fulfillment, financial fulfillment, and audience growth fulfillment. And you have to choose which side of that triangle you're going to go toward. And it's just like in video games, right? Where you choose body and strength and speed. When you pull one direction, it pulls away from the other. So that's the constant struggle, and expecting that you're going to get maxed out in all three categories is impossible. It's truly impossible. And big creators have talked about this all the time. This isn't just PewDiePie, other channels too, where they say, things like, well, when I end up making content, especially like Minecraft channels that have been doing this for like 12 years, they talk about everybody wants Minecraft videos from me, but I'm effing sick and tired of making Minecraft videos. But when I make them, I make $50,000 a month. And people are like, oh, boo-hoo, I feel so sorry for you. But it's that struggle we're talking about right here, where like the whole reason why you got into content creation in the first place is for that emotional fulfillment part of the triangle. And if those creators want to pull back toward that, because now making content is making them sad, they're going to pull away from audience growth and financial. And that's just the balance that's here. That's life. Unfortunately, you'll never be able to fulfill all three at the same time. And if you do, it'll be a short-lived burst.
I do think there's a lot of value. You're talking about the 80-20 rule earlier, and the 20%. I want to focus on that for a second. The doing new things. We're talking about when to quit and when to start over. There is a happiness in trying new things. The way that our brains work when we try something we've never done before. If you do stuff you've done before, your brain tends to gloss over the details and you kind of glide through it more quickly because you've processed this before. You understand it. You know it. When you try something new, you actually activate more of your brain and you pay more attention to details. You are actually activating more of yourself as a human being when you try something new. It's a more fulfilling experience to try something new and to learn something new. So I would say if you are looking at a point where you're stuck and you need to quit, starting over could give you that burst of happiness that you're looking for. You might not know it right away. It's like when you're scrolling through the Netflix feed and you can't find anything to watch and there's just nothing looks good. And so you just randomly pick something and it looks kind of shitty. It looks like it's not going to be that good. And then you watch it and you end up being pleasantly surprised. I know this is probably rare, a terrible example, but you end up being pleasantly surprised that the movie was actually entertaining in some way. Maybe it was so bad it was kind of campy and you liked it. And like you tried something new, even though you went against the odds of you thinking that you would like it or not. Sometimes we can surprise ourselves. We think we know what we like or what we want, but we don't always know that as well as we might think. So I think trying new things in general as a life like tenet to go by, I think helps you be more fulfilled. I think it'll help you appear that way as a creator too. If people can see you learning and enjoying something new, I think you can convert followers who, let's say, they're all Minecraft followers, right? But they see you really enjoying something new. You're going to convert some people over because they're going to enjoy the fact that you're happy. You're also going to be more charismatic. You're going to be better presentation on screen. You're going to be more excited. People are going to want to watch that. That's why viewers watch YouTubers. That's why viewers watch streamers. So activating that 20% new and always having that, I think that's required in order to be able to maintain and stay in this business long term.
Damn, that was one of the best things you've ever said on the show, Andrew Perrin. That was really good.
That was deep.
That was
And
super
I'm
deep.
gonna sleep, so
Yeah, I'm low on sleep too. I'm just like looking at the camera. I just like, man, you just
my
gotta
eyes
keep
are like
going.
half open. I'm like, oh, I got the wisdom anyway. Now it's just coming from like a basic spot. There's no brain to hold it back. You guys are just getting pure, unfiltered, whatever comes out of my head at this point in time.
Yeah, for me, like where I'm at in my career, I didn't think I'd be here. When I quit my job to go full-time working from home, my hope then, and pretty much the whole time, is that maybe one day I'll be able to make gaming content full-time and like only do that with all of my time. But every attempt I make to do that either doesn't get the financial traction, the audience growth traction, or in many cases, the emotional fulfillment that I want at that time to be able to actually do it. And so then I kind of go back into doing like a marketing career or a management career. And when I switch between doing the thing I quit my job to do in the first place, creating content, and then going to go do these other things, to your point, Perrin, taking on new challenges, new businesses, new infrastructures, new employees, new technologies and softwares, and constantly moving to these new projects and new initiatives, that gets my brain firing. And I feel like I'm closer to who I am when I do that than if I was doing the same thing every single day. And if you do the same thing every single day, some of you out there could be very happy doing that. But I think a lot of people, when we lament the 9-to-5 daily grind job that we have to go to and clock in, clock out, it's not just the job itself, it's the monotony of doing the same thing every day that we actually lament. And so the same thing can happen even if you're playing video games on the internet every day for a living. It becomes monotonous. And you might be like, oh, boo-hoo. Like, seriously, anything can become monotonous. If you're a professional poker player, that can become monotonous. All these things that seem like these glamorous and incredible careers, being a pop star, performing in front of large audiences, that can become monotonous. And it does. You see people breaking down emotionally. Are they weirdos? Oh, boo-hoo. So sorry for them. It's just human nature, right? If you do the same thing for too long, it doesn't work. Our brain wants new things. 80-20 rule. Always have 20% experimentation in the equation. Ross, I need some final thoughts from you to wrap this up.
Do you? Okay.
It's like, I've got zero thoughts right now, so...
No, because I'm sitting here listening and I'm realizing how everything you say has like applied to my life at one point or another. Based on what you just said, the monotony of things, and this is going to sound really weird. I think this is why open world games have become so successful, is because you can still have that comfort of playing the same game, but you're not going to experience the same thing over and over. So treat your life like an open world game.
Wow.
Keep the same, stay in place, make sure you're happy. The game title is you and your emotions and your fulfillment, but make the open world your strategy. Go out and try something new, but keep it in the ballpark.
Are we saying that we should treat our lives like Skyrim?
Absolutely.
Did we really get to that point in this episode?
Treat your life like Skyrim and constantly use new mods. All right, there you go. Thank you so much for listening to the Digital Drop Podcast. You can check out the video replays of the show on YouTube. Just search for Digital Drop Podcast. You know how to use YouTube. Also, it's available on every single audio platform. So you can listen to the audio version in the car while you're working out, while you're at your 9-to-5 job you want to quit. We're here to help you and inspire you, maybe. Thank you so much for listening. Go out there and do what you love. And just remember, like what Ross said, happiness is more important than anything else. Adios, amigos. Happy creating.